Southey said, the god of fire enraged at the curse of Brigu, thus addressed the Rishi. What meaneth this rashness, O Brahmana, that thou hast displayed towards me? What transgression can be imputed on me, who was laboring to do justice and speak the truth impartially? Being asked, I gave the true answer. A witness who, when interrogated about the fact of which he hath knowledge, represented otherwise than it is, ruineth his ancestors and descendants both to the seventh generation. He too, who, being fully cognizant of all the particulars of an affair, doth not disclose what he knoweth, when he asked, undoubtedly stained with guilt. I can also curse thee, but Brahmanas are held by me in high respect, although these are known to thee. O Brahmana, I will yet speak of them, so please attend. Having by aesthetic power multiplied myself, I am present in various forms in places of the daily Homa, at sacrifices extending for years in places where holy rites are performed, such as marriages, etc., and other sacrifices, with the butter that is poured upon my flame according to the injunctions prescribed in the Vedas. Devas and the Pitris are appeased. The Devas are waters, the Pitris are also the waters. Devas have the Pit and Devas have with the Pitris an equal right to the sacrifices called Darshas and Purnamasas. The Devas therefore are Pitris, and the Pitris the Devas. They are identical beings, worshipped together and also separately at the changes of the moon. The Devas and the Pitris eat what is poured upon me. I am therefore called the month of Devas and the Pitris. At the new month of Pitris and the full moon, the Devas are fed through my mouth, eating of clarified butter that is poured on me, being as I am, their mouth, and how am I to be, to enter, eater of all things clean and unclean. Then Agni, after reflecting for a while, withdrew himself from the places of daily homa of the Brahmanas, from all extending sacrifices, from places of holy rites, and from other ceremonies without their oms and vashats, and deprived of their swadas and swahas. Of whole body of creatures became much distress as a lot of loss of their fire. The rishis in great anxiety went to the gods and addressed them thus: O immaculate beings, the three regions of the universe are confounded at the cessation of their sacrifices and ceremonies in consequences of the loss of fire. Ordain what is to be done in this matter. So there are many, there may not be loss of time. Then the rishis and the god went together in the presence of Brahma, and they represented him all about the curse on Agni and the consequence interruption of all ceremonies. And they said, O thou greatly fortunate, and Agni hath been cursed by Brigu for some reason, indeed, being mouth of the gods, and also first who eateth of all is what is offered in sacrifices, the eater of also the sacrificial butter. How will Agni be reduced to condition of one who eats all beings promiscuously? And the creator of the universe, hearing the words of their, summoned Agni to his presence, and Brahma addressed Agni, the creator of all and eternal himself, in these gentle words: Thou art the creator of the worlds, and thou art the destroyer. Thou preserves the three worlds, and thou art the promoter of all the sacrifices and ceremonies. Therefore, behave thyself so that ceremonies be not interrupted. And O thou and eater of all sacrificial butter, why dost thou act so foolishly, being as thou art the Lord of all? Thou alone art always pure in the universe, and thou art its stay. Thou shalt not with all thy body be reduced to the state of one who eateth of all the things promiscuously. O thou of flames, the flame that is in thy willer parts shall alone eat all the things alike. The body of thine which eateth of the flesh, being in the stomach of all carnivorous animals, shall also eat all those things promiscuously. And as everything touched by the sun's rays becometh pure, so shall everything be pure that shall be burnt by thy flames. Thou art fire, the supreme energy born of thy own power. Then, O Lord, by that power thine, make the Rishi's curse come true. Continue to receive thy position's own portion of that of the gods offered at thy mouth. Sauti continued. Then Agni replied to grandfather, so be it. And then he went away to obey the command of Supreme Lord. The gods and the rishis returned to their delight to the place whence they had come. And the rishis began to perform as before their ceremonies and sacrifices, and the gods in heaven and all the creatures of the world rejoiced exceedingly. And Agni too rejoiced as if he was free from the prospect of sin. Thus, O possessor of six attributes, had Agni been cursed in the days of yore by Brigu, and such is the ancient history connected with the destruction of Rakshasa, Paloma, and the birth of Chavyana. This ends the seventh section of Paloma Parva of the Adi Parva of the blessed Mahabharata. Section 8 of Paloma Parva continues. Sauti said, O Brahmana, Chavyana, the son of Brigu, begot a son in the womb of his wife Sukanya, and that son was the illustrious Pramati of resplendent energy. And Pramati begot in the womb of Gritachi a son called Ruru, and Ruru begot on his wife Pramadwara, a son called Sunaka, and I shall relate to you in detail. O Brahmana, the entire history of Ruru, of abundant energy, O listen to it then in full. Formerly, there was a great rishi called Stulakesa, possessed of aesthetic power and learning, and kindly disposed towards all creatures at the time. O Brahmana, sage Viswavasu, the king of the Gandharvas, it is said, had intimacy with Menaka, the celestial dancing girl, and the Apsaras. Menaka, although of the Brigu race, when her time was come, brought forth an infant near the hermitage of Stulakesha, and dropping the newborn infant on the banks of river, O Brahmana, Menaka the Apsara, being destitute of pity and shame, went away. And Rishi Stulakesha of graced aesthetic power discovered the infant lying forsaken in a lonely part of the riverside. He perceived it was a female child, brought it to offspring of an immortal and blazing as if it were the beauty. And the Brahmana Stulakesha, the first of the Munis, seeing the female child and filled with compassion, took it up and reared it. And the lovely child grew up in his holy habitation, and the noble minded, the blessed Rishi Sulakesha performing in due succession all the ceremonies, beginning with the birth of as ordained by the divine law. And because she surpassed all of her sex in goodness, beauty, and every quality, the great Rishi called her by name Pramadwara. And the pious Ruru, having seen Pramadwara in the hermitage of Stulakesha, became one of those whose heart was pierced with by gods of love. And Ruru, by means of his companions, made his father Pramati, the son of Brigu, acquainted with his passion, and Pramati demanded her of far famed Stulakesha for his son. The foster father betrothed the virgin Pramadwara to Ruru, fixing the nuptials for the day when the star Vargad Daivata Purva Palguni, that is the Purva Palguni star, would be ascendant. That is Purva Palguni Lagna. Then, within a few days of time fixed for the nuptials, the beautiful virgin, while at play with companions of her own sex, her time having come, impelled by fate, trod upon a serpent which she did not perceive as it lay in coil. The reptile, urged to execute the will of the fate, violently darted its enormous fangs into the body of the headless maiden. And stung by the serpent, she instantly dropped senseless on the ground. Her color faded, and all the graces of her person went off. And with the dishevelled hair, she became a spectacle of woe of her companions and friends. And she, who was so agreeable to behold, became on her death what was so painful to look at. And the girl of slender waist lying on the ground like one asleep, being overcome with the poison of snake, once more became more beautiful than in life. Her foster father, with other holy ascetics over there, saw her lying motionless on the ground with the splendor of lotus. And then came their noted Brahmanas, filled with compassion. They sat around her. And Swastratreya, Mahajana, Kausika, Shankamakhela, Uddalaka, Kata, Sveta of the renowned, Bharadwaja, Kaunakutsya, Arishtasena, Gautama, Pramati, and Pramati's son, Ruru, and other inhabitants of the forest came there. And when Gautama, and then when they saw laying dead on the ground, overcome with poison of the reptile that has been bitten, that had bitten her, they all wept, filled with compassion. But Ruru, mortified beyond measure, retired from this scene. This ends eighth section of Paloma Parva of Adi Parva of blessed Mahabharata. Paloma Parva section 9. Sauti said, while those illustrious Brahmanas were sitting around the dead body of Pramadwara, Ruru, sorely afflicted, retired into a deep wood and wept aloud, and overwhelmed by the grief, he indulged in much piteous lamentation. And remembering his beloved Pramadwara, he went on his sorrow in the following words: Alas, the delicate fair one that increaseth my affliction lies upon the bare ground. What more can be deplorable to us, her friends, if I have been charitable, if I had performed acts of penance, if I had ever revered my superiors, let the merit of these acts restore life of my beloved one. If from my birth I have been controlling my passions, other to my oaths, let the fair Pramadwara rise from the ground. And Ruru, while was indulging in these lamentations for the loss of bride, messenger from the heaven came to him in the forest, addressed him thus: The words of you utterest, O Ruru, in your affliction are certainly ineffectual. For, O pious man, one belong to this world whose days have run out can never come back to life. This poor child of Gandharva and Apsara had her days run out. Therefore, O child, you should not consign your heart to sorrow. The great gods, however, have provided a means of restoration of life. And if you comply with it, you may receive back your Pramadwara. And Ruru replied, O messenger of heaven, what is that gods have ordained to tell me full, so that I may comply with it? It behoveth thee to deliver me from grief. And the celestial messenger said to Ruru, resign half of your life to your bride, and then, O Ruru, the race of Brigu, your Pramadwara shall rise from the ground. O best of celestial messengers, I most willingly offer my moiety of my life in favor of my bride. Then my beloved one will rise up once more in her dress and lovable form. Sauti said, King of Gandharva, the, the father of Pramadwara, and the celestial messenger, both excellent qualities, went to God Dharma, the judge of the dead, and addressed him, saying, If it is your will, O Dharmaraja, let amiable Pramadwara, the betrothed wife of Ruru, now lying dead, rise up with moiety of Ruru's life. And Dharmaraja answered, O messenger of gods, if it be thy wish, let Pramadwara be betrothed wife of Ruru, rise up, endued with moiety of Ruru's life. Sauti continued, when Dharmaraja had said so, that the maiden of superior complexion, Pramadwara, endued with moiety of Ruru's life, rose from her slumber. His bestowal by Ruru's of a moiety of his own span of life to bring back his bride to life, as would be curtailment of Ruru's life. And on auspicious day of the fathers, gladly married them with due rites. The couple passed their days devoted to each other, and Ruru, having obtained such a wife as hard to be found, beautiful and bright as the filaments of the lotus, made a vow for the destruction of serpent race. And whenever he saw a serpent, he became filled with a great wrath and always killed it with a weapon. One day, O Brahmana, Ruru entered the extensive forest, and there he saw an old serpent of the Dundubha species. Dundubha is a species that doesn't have poison, and it's living mostly in grass. And this serpent is harmless, even though it bites. There is no poison. And Ruru thereupon lifted upon his anger in his staff, even like the staff of death, for the purpose of killing it. Then Dunduba addressed Ruru, said, I have done you no harm, O Brahmana. Then wherefore will you slay me in anger? So this ends the ninth section of Paloma Parva of Adi Parva of the blessed Mahabharata. Tenth section of Paloma Parva. So they said, and Ruru, on hearing these words, replied, my wife, dear to me as life, was bit by a snake, which I took, O snake, dreadful, oh, that I would kill every snake I might come across. Therefore I shall smite you, and you shall be deprived of life. And Dunduba replied, O Brahmana, snakes that quite bite a man are quite different in type. You should not slay Dundubas who are serpents only in name, subject like other serpents to the same calamities but are not sharing their good fortune. In woe, the same but the joy different. The Dundubas should not be slain by you under any misconception. So he continued. And the Rishi Ruru, hearing the words of the serpent and seeing that it was bewildered with fear, albeit a snake of the Dunduba species, killed it not. And Ruru, the possessor of six attributes, comforting a snake, addressing it, tell me fully, O snake, who are you? Thus metamorphosed. And Dunduba replied, O Ruru, I was formerly a rishi by name Sahasrapat, and it was a curse of a Brahmana. I have been transformed into a snake. And Ruru asked, O best of the snakes, for what were you cursed by the Brahmana in the Vrat? How long will will this form continue so? This ends the 10th section of Poloma Parva of Adi Parva. 11th section. Sauti said, Dunduba then said, in former times I had a friend, Kakama, by name. He was impetuous in his speech, possessed of spiritual power by virtue and his austerities. And one day, when he was engaged in Agni Hotra, I made a mock snake of blades of grass, and in a frolic attempt to frighten him with it, and he fell into swoon. On recovering his senses, the truth telling and woe observing ascetic, burning with wrath, exclaimed, since you have made a powerless mock snake to frighten me, you shall be turned into a venomous serpent yourself by my curse. O ascetic, I know the power of penances. Therefore, with an agitated heart, I addressed him, saying this, bending low with joined hands. Friends, I did this by way of joke to excite your laughter. You should forgive me and revoke your curse. Seeing me sorely troubled, the ascetic was moved by, and he replied, breathing hot and hard, what I have said must come pass. Yeah. Listen to what I say and lay it to your heart. O pious one, when Ruru, the pure son of Pramati, will appear, you shall be delivered from the curse of the moment. You see him, very thou are the very Ruru, the son of Pramati. On regaining my native form, I will tell you something for your good. And the illustrious man, and the best of Brahmanas, left a snake body and attained his own form and original brightness. Then addressed the following words, Ruru, incomparable power. O thou first of created beings, verily the highest virtue of man is sparing life of others. Therefore, a Brahmana should never take life of any creature. Brahmana should ever be mild. This is the most sacred injunction of Vedas. Brahmana should be versed in all Vedas and Vedangas and should inspire all creatures with belief in God. He should be benevolent to all creatures, truthful, forgiving, even as this paramount duty to retain Vedas in his memory. The duties of Kshatriya are not yours to be stern, to wield the scripture and scriptry, and to rule the subjects properly are the duties of Kshatriya. Listen, Oruru, on the account of destruction of snakes at the sacrifice of Janamejaya in the days of yore, and the deliverance of the testified reptiles by that best of Dvijas, Astika, profound in Vedic lore, in its might spiritual energy. So this ends 11th section of Oloma Parva of Adi Parva. Oloma Parva continues in the 12th section.